Okay. Hello everybody, welcome to my first ever stream. Today I am going to be trying to go through a tier list. I guess just in preparation of just try to get used to streaming. This is all unscripted and I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see how this goes. I can see the chat, so if you want to leave any thoughts on anything I say or have any feedback about the stream itself, feel free to. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And fortunately, this is in a random order, so the first one is pretty straightforward. SBO, big fat F tier. I guess just to clarify, the sad face tier is the characters that I hate the most. S tier characters are pretty broken, but fine. They're some of the best characters in the game regardless. A tier characters are very good, but have a few flaws. B tier characters are okay. C tier characters I wouldn't recommend, but they're decent. D tier characters I wouldn't recommend, and I just wouldn't recommend them. F tier characters are awful. SBO is an F tier character. All this guy could do is spam Whirlwind. There are so many other characters to do that. I don't think there's going to be any opposition to an F tier for SBO. Next one is Wave, a character I was actually using a few hours before the stream to try to recover from a trophy tank. Wave, I think, is an A tier character. Definitely has a fast boost, good speed, Whirlwind helps with speed. Probably one of the speediest characters that has access to explosive mines, which are great. Sometimes her boost can be a little bit and she doesn't have like super overwhelming traits, but in general, I do think she's very effective in general. One of the best rares, definitely. And the next one we have is Isolator Jetty, a character who actually got a buff since the last time I wrote something. I made a video. Now he gets up to 2 pucks, trap shots, sorry. And I think that this moves him from C to honestly still C. The thing about him is that one of his biggest issues was that he's just outclassed by Chaos, a much better character. And while you now have 2 trap shots, which could definitely help spread around the damage, I in general still don't find him too effective. It definitely helps, don't get me wrong, because now you can cover multiple things, but you still don't really have a way of being able to deal any damage at all aside from ice moves. Now moving on to Sonic, the first character you unlock, and probably one of the more straightforward ones. I'm going to give him a B. Sonic definitely is a character who defensively is kind of awful with his stats and power sneakers not really giving protection, but he's an effective glass cannon. Ice mines are good, fireballs with ice mines are great, power sneakers are pretty good. I have seen some very successful Sonics. He's definitely the common that when I see one, I give the most respect to. So yeah, solid B tier character. And next we have Jet. Jet I am also going to put in B, behind Sonic. Now, I am going to say I'm going to be trying to sort these characters in order in the tiers, although realistically, if they're back-to-back, then they're probably pretty close to interchangeable. I have very few extremely concrete placements, but overall I do think Jet is solid enough. Probably the best character with the Tornado other than Punk Zazz, and he's fast and has a lot of wind moves. He doesn't have the best stats aside from speed, and I'm not a fan of wind boost at all, but personally, I do think that Jet is a pretty solid character overall. Next, we have Eggman. Eggman recently got a huge buff after I ranked him as the absolute worst super rare in the game. It was honestly worse than that. I debate putting him bottom 5 before that. Honor Guard is actually not bad now. It does a pretty good amount of electrical damage. It feels like it's still weaker than Stormcloud, but you actually get hit by it and you can feel it. Still not the easiest thing to dodge, but Valkyrie still is easy to dodge. It really only increases damage of it, which granted it needed badly because it just did not do enough damage. But yeah, I think it's solid enough too. I am going to give Eggman a C. Am I going to put him above or below Isolator Jet? I'm going to put him below for still. Valkyrie still isn't great, but the boost in Honor Guard I definitely do think is a niche. I see somebody still thinks Eggman is the worst super rare. Hey, it's still definitely debatable. I still don't think he's great. They could definitely buff Valkyrie for sure. And moving on to our another common, Omega. Omega, I am going to put in B tier. Now, I think that personally, I guess minor spoiler alert, of the common characters, I do think that Omega is the second best. I think that Sonic has a higher ceiling, but of the commons, I think that Omega has the highest floor. He's not as good as he seems on paper, though. You'd think he'd be a lot better because he has a explosive mines, electro boost, but just something about that just completely falls apart with Motobug. Even his stats are pretty good for a common, but then they just don't end up doing anything. It's pretty baffling. But yeah, I do think he's overall solid, and if you don't like Sonic and maybe your Metal Sonic isn't high enough level, give him a shot. Now we have Teen Sonic. Apparently everybody's favorite special. I've seen a max Teen Sonic from a player level 11, which is the most baffling thing I've ever seen. That being said, Teen Sonic, all he can really do is clutch boost. He can be kind of annoying with Zap Trap and kind of annoying with Whirlwind, but he's just too passive. I think he's C tier. Definitely not a special you want to invest in. I honestly would rather use Isolator Jet. Honestly, I'd rather use Eggman too. I don't know, man. It's just Zap Trap and Valkyrie are about as awful as each other. I'm not sure if that's a controversial one. Maybe they'll end up switching once I see more Eggmans. Next, we have a Slugger Sonic. Slugger Sonic, I think, is another B tier character. Slugger Sonic is pretty similar to Sonic, except he doesn't have a terrible strike stat, and he has a riskier but better boost. The fireballs and baseballs, I'd rather have fireball personally. Ice mines are literally just ice mine. You kind of play them the same, and unless you really are used to home run, I think that they'll give you similar results. He's definitely a pretty good special character though, especially once you get used to home run or on the right track, but there definitely are some factors with it, which makes him a little bit riskier than I think some other characters. Alright, next we have Charmy, I don't know if anybody really would want to admit if they are a Charmy main. He is definitely C tier. I don't even know what to say about Charmy. He's just so boring. He's basically just Jet, except not as good. But if you are just using him as a common character, I guess he's fine. He's just a worse Jet and even similar to other commons, and it's Charmy. It's just so forgettable, man. Next, we have Amy. I swear to God, not everybody's going to be C or D, but Amy I also put in C. Amy is a weird character. She has a lot of defense almost, just because of decent stats for a common, Ice Mine, and Lightning, but her damage output is pretty miserable. I think that most of the time you're better off using Sonic, and then of course, once you've leveled up Chaos, just like with Ice Slicer Jet, now you have a character who is very similar but has better stats, and has a much better projectile. So, overall, I do think she's in C tier. Charmy is OP, bro. I agree, actually. If I was being realistic, I would put him in a tier above Sad Face tier, but yeah, I had to knock him down a peg. Now we got Vampire Shadow, a character who I actually have a level 13 that I really need to make a video for again. I have one, but of level 10. I personally think that he is A tier. There are a lot of specials with Stormcloud, and of these characters, I think that he's a little bit underwhelming for these, but he's still good. Stormclouds are great. Electro Boost is very solid, although I don't know, you'd think he'd be almost a little bit better, but I think part of the issue is that while Draco-Lantern is a respectable projectile, there definitely are better ones, and only having one to aim and having Electro Boost just be kind of okay once you have 100 rings is kind of but if you have under-leveled specials, then I honestly think Vampire Shadow is one of the best specials. Big boy, Tails. More C tier. Now, before his stat buff, I actually would have put him in D tier because just his 3 strength was just terrible. Now he's gone from bad to not as bad, but still not good. His kit is just kind of weak, but at least he has, like, okay stats as opposed to a weak kit with some of the worst stats in the game. He still has a ways to go, but at least he's kind of in bracket with some of the other commons. As you can see, already ranked 2 other ones there. Now we got Punk Zazz. I'm not even going to explain this one. If you disagree that he's a sad face tier, I don't even know what to tell you. Okay, moving on to characters that should exist in the game, we have Silver. Silver is a character who almost works, but definitely C tier. The easy fix for him is, of course, just to fix his speed stat. The guy has 6 speed, and no other character has 6 speed. Even Zavik, Big the Cat, Knuckles, slow characters have that, which means he's body blocked by everything. Some people say that he doesn't feel like he has 6 speed, but the reason for that is because Whirlwinds and Tornadoes give him rings, and he probably has 35 rings, but he just feels incredibly outclassed if you're in a situation where a bunch of level 16 characters are all over the place. Silver is better than Charmy and Tails. I mean, I really view them all as the same, really. They all have underwhelming stats, they all have win-based things, they all have kind of meh boosts, and I just think that they're all outclassed later on. So I definitely do think they're all C tier, but at least they're not all terrible. Next we have Longclaw. Longclaw is our first D tier character. She almost works, and then you realize that Cyclone Charge just is kind of because it disappears way too often, and in the lead it's not too great. Then you also remember you have Wind Boost, and you remember you have Lightning, and then you remember she's a special, and then you remember she never gets events because it's a Paramount property. And then it makes you want to die. I would heavily recommend not using Longclaw. Definitely one of the worst specials in the game. Just way too hard to use, in my opinion, to really get results out of. Alright, now we got Chaos. Chaos, I put in S tier. Now, Chaos has only freezing moves. I will admit that he's not, like, the worst thing ever to deal with, but he definitely can be. Ice Wave is super oppressive to go alongside those stats, and well, sometimes Ice Wave is kind of just like, oh man, I wish I had an attack to go alongside it, but to go along all the ring removal, his 10 speed, alongside even a decent boost in Ice Mine just adding onto it, he's definitely one of the best non-specials in the game, even with all the nerfs it's gotten. Heck, Ice Wave has a sound now, but Ice Wave is still pretty quiet, so I overall do think that he's still extremely good. Speaking of characters that are extremely good, and not a special character, Tangle is, in my opinion, the best non-special in the game. Now, she's not sad face tier, but she is very close. Tangle, you can just sit in the back and use so many tail strikes that really, you're gonna catch up to people, and then there's nothing you can do about a Tangle that's boosting past you. On the contrary, if a Tangle is in front of you, chaining a bunch of tail strikes, then she's gonna get a decent lead, and hey, you might not even need to boost. Also, people sleep on tail strikes damage. It seems very easy to hit people with. Definitely OP character in my opinion. The only reason I don't put her in sad face is because even though she can get success at a lower level than pretty much any other character, I do think at the very least if you get hit by like an E-mine in third, then you're probably screwed. But I mean, who can deal with the Knuckles that far behind? Well. Alright, Santa Big. Santa Big, I put in A, but it's actually a somewhat uneasy A. I'm gonna put him above Vampire Shadow, sorry. His stats are great. Frozen Chopper Chop is a good combo with Flu Shot, which is an extremely slept-on move, even though it's a little bit easier to dodge than it looks. Speaking of things that aren't as good as they seem, Santa Big's Festive Umbrella Boost, I mentioned this in my video about him, but the thing that hurts him a lot is that Festive Umbrella Boost is extremely mediocre. Now, if it was like normal Umbrella Boost, he would just be, in my opinion, straight up overpowered, but I guess they had some mercy on it. I remember Flu Shot used to just be extremely broken, but now there are so many other broken attacks that you honestly don't even think of Flu Shots. And now moving on to the most hated character in Speed Battle, Zazz, a character who I thought was very overrated in his heyday, and now he's kind of been knocked down a peg. I put him in B tier. I still think he's usable, but he's still all Star Trail and maybe getting an early lead with E-Boost, but Motobug does not suit him well at all, and Star Trail is a lot worse than it used to be, but the thing is that if there's a Zazz a little bit in front of you, he's still really solid. The only thing is that Zazz can no longer, I guess, hold people off from a very far distance, which was probably his biggest need, just to make sure he wouldn't get clutch boosted by something overpowered like the other Zazz, for example. But I still think he's usable. don't think he's amazing. Also, I agree with all those emotes, no contest, but I don't think the chat in the stream agrees with you. I apologize. Also, yes, F for Zazz, my boy's got ruined. Like, the B even sometimes feels unnecessary, because, like, sometimes if you are behind with him, you are screwed, but I think he's still effective enough at his role, and he has a niche. Shadow. Why are you using Shadow? The reason why would be that I actually put him in A tier. Now, this may seem a little weird, he's like the worst Stormcloud character pretty easily, but you could get by with Stormclouds, and even though he has 2 other mediocre attacks, I do think that Sneakers are really solid with 9 acceleration and 10 speed. Sonic's feels worse with the acceleration. Even Lightning feels okay with him because Stormclouds, you kinda gotta follow the guy around to get it done. But honestly, Shadow's big advantage here is that he's the only character with Stormclouds that isn't a special. And because it's so hard to level up specials, that does give him a niche. If you just don't have any good specials, then you might end up having to use Shadow. And Stormclouds are enough to get by once you know what they're doing. Definitely a low A though, because he does have some issues of catching up from a distance. I could see him being in B. I almost actually put him in B, but I think that he's low enough in A. Tikal. I remember when Tikal was a sad face tier character, and now the people who use her are probably quite sad. D tier. Chao Guardians I think are still okay. Like, if somebody's a little bit behind you, then that's actually pretty impressive because they come out really fast and do a good amount of damage. There's a lot of them. The boost is like enough to get in range of that, but unless you're doing specifically that, no, she's not very good. Definitely the worst super right now that they buffed Eggman. Like, her only claim to fame is that for a while she wasn't Eggman. But hey, there's a Tikal event going on right now, so if you want to level up a D tier character, go nuts. Alright, moving on. Reaper Metal Sonic. Definitely S tier character. I put him below Tangle, but ahead of Chaos. Here's the thing though, Reaper Metal Sonic, not easy to use. If you are an excellent player, then Reaper Metal Sonic, other than the sad face tier characters, is probably going to be the best character for you. Heck, somebody has Tricetter, he's in this chat right now. He has 7k with Reaper today. Congrats to him. Typho's second. He's also using Reaper. Thing is though, is that he's hard to use, kind of. He's pretty hard to catch up with, but the amount of upside he has, you know how to use the scythe, you know how to boost, you know how to use those tombstones, whether in the lead or behind. He is very devastating. Now, one thing I will say right now is that I am garbage with this character, but you know, he's just not for everybody, but the people who are used to him will prove to you that he is one of the best characters in the game. Lantern Silver. Not a good character at all. I mean, I don't even know how to describe him. Pyromon is awkward with, like, I feel like it hits yourself way too often. The firework is easy to hit people with, but it's only good 1/3 of the time. Illusion Boost is average. Not a good special. He needs some buffs in my opinion, although I don't really know how you change Firework Flurry without it being better. I guess just make the electric ones and make the fire ones better. Knuckles. Oh boy. This is going to be a somewhat controversial one. You see, I used to think he was a B tier character, but the more I think about it, I'm honestly going to put him in C. The reason for this is that I cannot tell you the last time I saw Knuckles, like, actually win. If you had a Knuckles player with, like, 1 strong attack, he's done. He has 7 speed, 4 acceleration, and, like, the slowest invincibility ever. And without chaining that, then he mostly just ends up gatekeeping. Now, I do think he's fine. Fireball is overpowered. Explosive Mines are really good, but I also think he's easily the worst character of both of those, even compared to someone like Omega. I just don't find it to be effective, and he honestly just feels straight up bad to me. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a little bit devastating, because, like, I hate when the Knuckles is right behind you, but they just never win, man. Speaking of characters that have been hurt a lot by the invincibility nerfs, Classic Sonic. I'm going to put him in right beside Knuckles. I honestly almost think that he's better than Knuckles because he's a little bit speedier, but Motobug is kind of eh, and I guess Motobug combined with invincibility to catch up with damage is definitely not the best I've seen. There's definitely better characters to use, but I will say that he is, in my opinion, the best common with Tornado, and he is very easy to use, but I don't know, he's okay, I guess. Incidentally, that marks all the commons. C and B, they're relatively close to each other. Speaking of C tier characters, Excalibur Sonic I also put in C tier. Excalibur's a weird one. You kind of gotta use those swords a lot, specifically the Soul Surge. The boost is actually really good, but the guy has no range at all. King's Judgment is bad, and it honestly feels like an embarrassment when you get hit by it, and the Excalibur Sonic still usually loses because who uses that thing strategically? Almost nobody. I just think that he's a little bit too specialized, but he is at the very least good in that role. I just find that too many Excalibur Sonics are a little bit too specialized, I guess, and they just don't really do anything. Witch Rouge. F tier. I mean, she could sometimes do things, because, like, Draco-Lantern hurts a lot, but as your only form of offense, that's not too great. Booby Trap is not good. Wind Boost is not good. Her stats are great, and I mean, Draco-Lantern at least hurts, so she isn't the worst thing ever to use, but yeah, there's a reason why, even compared to Log Claw and Lantern Silver, I put her lower. She is not good at all. Definitely needs a buff. Next, we have Vector. A tier, definitely A tier. Vector has kind of taken over this. Vector is kind of a hybrid of what Knuckles and Classic Sonic used to be without the stacking. He has the move that doesn't go away when you advance through it that Classic Sonic has, and he has the high strike stats and fireballs of Knuckles, so he just ends up being kind of what all these people have transitioned to that used to abuse Knuckles, and that his stats are still way too high. In my opinion, they need to change that and also get Bubble Bomb and nerf. Really, the only reason I don't think he's S tier is because Invince can hold him back, but with 8 invincibility, with 8 acceleration and 9 speed, 8 invincibility, what was I even trying to say there? He definitely is a character that is a lot harder to get rid of than Knuckles, because if you hit him, you can actually catch up. Alright, Tropical Storm. Apparently Hardlight's arch nemesis, because they never give events to this poor guy. Definitely S tier. It says something that he's S tier, even though Wind Boost is an atrocity. Well, maybe not an atrocity, but it's not a good boost at all. The main reason for this is because Wipeout is really good, and Stormcloud is also really good. You want to jump over the Wipeout, you're going to get Stormclouded, and vice versa. Really, Wind Boost is pretty much the only thing that holds him back, and even then, it doesn't hold him back that much. When I see a high-level Tropical Storm, I actually get a little bit worried. Alright, moving on to the next character, Blaze. C tier. Man, C tier is getting really long. We're in C tier. I'll put it right here. Yeah, C is fair. Really, Blaze's stats are below average. I don't know why they keep nerfing Blaze in general. Fire Whirl is not good at all, but they nerfed its range. Her stats were meh, and then they nerfed her speed. Fire Boost is average. Really, the only thing I like about her is Lava Bomb. I mean, Lava Bomb hurts a lot if you can use it properly, but as your only trait, I don't like it that much. She's definitely a lot harder to use than I think that she should be, given her status. But, you know, I guess this is kind of how things go. I never thought I'd see the day where Eggman would be ahead of Blaze. Alright, next up we have Jingle Bell Amy, who I put in S tier. Now, some people claim that Jingle Bell Amy is bad now because they nerfed Gift Trap. I almost said Star Trail, but they're literally the exact same attack. But she's still really good. The thing is that, I mean, she still has Ice Wave, and Ice Wave is still really overpowered, and you still have a combo to use alongside that. I don't think she's as good as Chaos. Ice Mines honestly seem to work better than Gift Trap, but until they really properly nerf Ice Wave, I think she's S tier. Definitely still a really good character. Alright, moving on to Big the Cat. Froggy! Low A. I remember when Big, I'll put him right next to Shadow. This guy is really inconsistent because of Lily Trapped. I Lily Trap. I almost said Lily Trap. You can tell I just went over Gift Trap. But Chopper Chomps and Umbrella Boost are a really good combination, and sometimes Lily Trap can work. He's really inconsistent, but Big is one of those characters where you think you've gotten rid of him, and then he just refuses to go away. And that alone is just great, because Umbrella Boost is easily one of the best boosts in the entire game. And that kind of carries him, yes, and he wouldn't be that good without it, but it's still something. Now we have Sir Lancelot. The gift, this guy got the most unnecessary buff I have ever seen. They buffed his boost, even though the boost was really good and he already had a lot of good traits about him. So now he's gone from S tier to like higher in S tier. I honestly, given today's experiences, I think that he's a little bit more brain dead than Reaper. Now I think that if you can use Reaper properly, he's probably better than Lancelot, but like Lancelot can clutch boost you. He has extremely annoying projectiles. Storm Claws are great as always. I'm seeing a lot of people carry by them. There are high-level Lancelots all over the ladder by people who I don't think would be that as high without him. So yeah, S tier. Why did they buff the boost? I really wish they just reverted back to general. He was already very good. That's annoying. Anyways, quarterback Zavik. I should put him in I should put him in a happy face tier because I love me some American football. But I'm gonna go with A tier here. Quarterback Zavik is a kind of weird one. Now, I thought he'd be a little bit better than he ended up being because having 3 boosts is nice, but at the same time, it takes a long time to actually get those boosts parlayed on, like, say, beat or base boosts where it's just ridiculous. He also can't really spread around his boosts that well because the football only takes up 1 lane and Lava Bomb only takes up 1 lane, but the guy hits really hard, and on top of that, he also has some nice stats, and even if he misses you, he can just boost past people on the way there. Definitely a very good character. I had a lot of fun using him at the start of the season. All-Star Amy. I'm going to put her in B tier as well, alongside Slugger Sonic. I do think Slugger Sonic is better because the combo of Ice Mines as well as the baseballs, I really enjoy those a lot more than Tornado and, well, baseballs that you can't combo with people into them. But I do think that she's pretty solid overall. Definitely a little bit harder to use, but they pretty much play the same. Just really pick which one you want. And will the music play? Oh, it is playing. Alright, moving on. Whisper. Also B tier character. Now, in my initial tier list, I put Jet above Whisper, but I'm changing my mind. Whisper is like the most obnoxious character. I'm actually gonna do this. Whisper is like the most obnoxious character ever because she effectively has 2 projectiles. If you've ever fought a Whisper player that really is out to get you, I am sure you recognize just how annoying a good Whisper player is, or even just a mediocre Whisper player. She can be very impressive, and even some of her moves are good in the lead, despite being projectiles. This is rare. Now, these things do end up holding her back a little bit, and Green Hover is kind of but I do think she has a lot of upside, and I do think she's overall a fairly balanced character as well. Definitely one that I think, definitely a solid one. A lot more balance than Tangle as you came with. That doesn't mean I don't hate Whisper players, though. These guys are just annoying. Alright, next up we have Tidal Wave. S tier. Now, basically, get a slightly worse combo in Ice Mines and Wipeout, which is still very good. Replace Tropical Storm's bad boost with a good boost in Wrench Rush, and you have Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave is extremely annoying on top of being able to, when she's behind you, and very impressive overall. I really can't say anything bad about her. I guess aside from Ice Mines sometimes being kind of but that's the worst thing you could say about her. It's fine. She's another character who isn't as common, but I do think that she's definitely S tier. Now we have Elf Classic Sonic. B tier. He's so similar to Elf Santa Big. I almost said Elf Santa Big. That'd be a monstrous special. But really, his stats are worse, and Motobug is not as good at Frozen Chopper Chomp in most cases, and it's better for a faster hit, but you don't have the combo potential. Ice Boost is slightly better, but other than that, he's just kind of a character that exists, and that's about it. He just exists. I mean, he's fine because Flu Shot is still really good. He's just kind of boring. Now, moving on, Baby Sonic. I put him in A tier. I just said Rafa said a bit too fast. Well, Baby Sonic's a bit too fast. It applies to him too. Even though his stats are really bad and he only has one thing going for him, which is Storm Clouds being fast, I do think he's still very good. You can create a maze of these Storm Clouds that really nobody could deal with. The Singular Whirlwind is terrible. EMP Boost is just kind of annoying. It's okay though, but the Storm Cloud Nisha load is very good, but you gotta be careful because some characters are effectively almost hard counters with this character. Like, if you fight a Chaos and that Chaos is spamming you, have fun with Ice Waves at 2 strength. And we are already on the final line. Man, this is going fast. Now, Metal Sonic. This is another S tier character, and I actually am going to put him ahead of Chaos. Now, I know that I said that Chaos had the slight edge and I made the first tier list with regarding super rares, but Metal Sonic is just capable of more. And I do fully realize that, hey, even if you don't get anything with Steel, you can still make someone not get a shield for a long time. And when somebody doesn't have a shield, Explosive Mind. Definitely, in my opinion, an S tier character. Best non-special in my opinion, other than Tangle. But yeah, I do think that sometimes he's not as consistent as Chaos, but I do think that things that are Metal Sonic's capable of doing are amazing. And sometimes you just see so many Metal Sonics that you kind of forget about what's going on with that. Why did the playlist stop? Just click on this random one. Okay, there we go. And let's have a beach theme for Lunar Blaze, which makes absolutely no sense. What is this list? Why is Eggman ahead of Blaze? The reason why I put Eggman ahead of Blaze specifically is because Eggman has a better boost, and Honor Guard I think is fine. Valkyrie sucks, but at the same time, Fire Whirl also sucks. So that's why I did it. That being said, I do think that Teen Sonic's a little bit better at the clutch boosting thing, so I'm actually going to swap those two. But this is mostly going off the buff. If Eggman didn't get buffed, he'd be below Lantern Silver. He was terrible. Anyways, Lunar Blaze, I think is a B tier character. Now, the closest contemporary, I think, to Lunar Blaze is honestly Quarterback Zavik, another character who has a singular projectile and an auto mine, but she has a worse boost. That projectile Dragon Dance hurts a ton, even though it's slow. It hits you more than you expect, and if you do get hit by it in any angle, then yeah, it's extremely dumb. But she is a little bit limited in what she can do, and I do think she's one of the lesser specials, but I still think she's good overall. Now, Storm, the bird, the albatross, F tier. Not only do I think he's F tier, but Storm honestly might be my least favorite character to use. Like, I have more fun using SPO than I do Storm. I mean, Storm almost works because he has high stats, and Zap Track can be annoying in the lead, and Whirlwind Span can be annoying, but like, first of all, why would you use him over Teen Sonic when Wind Boost is not good and Ring Portal is good? And second of all, like, if he falls behind even a little bit, GG. GG. Zavik. I think he is A tier. Definitely an underrated character, although I will say that while I did used to think he was better than Wave, I'm kind of switching from that because Whirlwind I think is pretty good despite being on bad characters. Zavik is short, sweet, and to the point. He's very powerful, but is kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It just seems like he should be a little bit better than he is, but he's still definitely very good because he isn't the slowest thing ever on, like, Knuckles. He has double fireballs, which are amazing. Explosive mines, I don't even need to go into them. They hurt a lot. I mean, he's boring, but he's also very effective. Alright. Moving on to the last few characters. We only have a few left. Rouge. F tier. Rouge is the weakest character in the game in terms of damage output. I love using her, but she's not good at all. Lightning and booby traps should be a war crime. I mean, lightning even breaks booby trap slots, so that's kind of awful. So, yeah, I just don't know why I use her. I have fun using her, but she normally doesn't win. Oh boy, now we got Elite Agent Rouge. Now, this is a character who I have limited experiences versus since the Gold Rush buff. Now, for those who for those who aren't in the know, I guess, Gold Rush had a speed buff as well as a damage buff. No, not a damage buff. It didn't do any damage. A ring deduction nerf. So, they definitely are better. That being said, I barely see any Elite Agent Rouges. I saw one today, and they hit themselves with 2 bat bombs, which is kind of embarrassing. I'm going to put her in the lowest B slot tentatively, because I do think she can be an annoyance when she's a bit behind you, and now she can actually catch up. From what I know, Gold Rush is actually pretty good, but I also don't think we'll have a great knowing of how she is until we start getting to the point where... Actually, I'm going to put her in C tier. I still don't think she has a way of hitting enough people. So she still has some more to do, but at least she isn't awful, and I honestly would at least not put her in D as well. But definitely still has some more to do. Because Motobugs are not great, and Bat Bomb does have limited spread. If you slide under it, you're probably fine. Zina! Oh god, I hate Zina, both in the game and outside of the game. A tier. I mean to put her ahead of... Wow, she does not want to move behind Vector. Okay, there we go. I think she is going to be the highest A tier character on this list. The combination of Blizzard Bomb and Explosive Mines are ridiculous. And then one thing I kind of overlooked is that, hey, you want to get those rings back from Blizzard Bomb? Well, you can't, because not only is E-Boost helping her, but it's taking away the rings from you as well. Extremely annoying character overall. Definitely devastating to have in a race. You can, even if Blizzard Bomb hits you in the air and you only slow down, even that can be enough to pass. The only thing is that it's a little bit inconsistent, but, you know, it's just kind of weird. You're in a good spot if the worst part about you is Blizzard Bomb. If Blizzard Bomb is still stupid. I mean, you got that with Explosive Mines. Anyway, Spring Cream. Thank God they finally nerfed her. Oh my gosh, I hated Spring Cream. And the funny thing about Spring Cream is that I honestly still put her in B tier. She's not Sad Face tier anymore, but the thing is that she still has an item that shows up in every lane. Slows you down if you switch lanes for a little bit. The chip damage is not amazing, but like, that's still fine. Double hedge maces work really well. The only reason I put her in B tier is because Bunny Boost is really bad, but I also kind of underestimated Bunny Boost. Bunny Boost is definitely the worst boost in the game now, but at the same time, I also think that part of the problem is that I just can't swipe. I'm just bad with Bunny Boost. Alright, more rabbits. Cream I put in C tier. I'm going to at least put her at a Blaze because I've seen some creams capable of a lot of things. I mean, she's a perfectly fine character outside of her boost, which is very bad. And unlike Spring Cream, she doesn't have a move that just makes up for that completely. Definitely annoying, and if you're not used to Bunny Boost, then she's probably not worth it at all. But, I mean, she's okay. Just very hard to use. It's like high risk, medium reward. Unless you're Synergy Weavile, in which case it's low risk, high reward. I don't know how you can use her at all. Alright, the final 4. Treasure Hunter Knuckles. I am for now going to put him in A-. Now, like Elite Agent Rouge, I have not seen that many Treasure Hunter Knuckles since the buff. But at the same time, he is also a character that, okay, if Spring Cream is B tier with a bad boost and a... Well, she has a better projectile, easily. Of course the Knuckles C pull goes on when I talk about him. Jesus Christ. Anyways, as I was saying, Rocky Road is probably better than Hedge Maze now. Not just because of the raw damage, but also because it's very difficult to see. Lightning is still bad, but if you can catch up with Gold Rush and Rocky Road people, then you're in good shape. Now, he's liable to move down in case I'm overrating Gold Rush, but really, as long as he had an okay boost, then he could kind of do Spring Cream Light. Supersonic. I'm gonna rank him last. I mean, I'm going to rank him after I rank these other two because he's just such a weird character to rank. Like, how do you even rank him with his playstyle? Anyways, more knights. Sir Percival, I put in S tier. Below these two, yes. Sir Percival looks like she'd be better than Tangle, but I don't quite think she is. Although she can kind of do the same thing. You can use that sword to boost in front of you a little bit. And then the Wrench Rush equivalent is just the worst thing to deal with. I really hate it. Lava Bomb is probably the worst part about her, but I mean, if you can get in the lead and leave it on some dash pads, then she is a little bit better in the lead than Tangle. I just don't think she has as consistent a means of it, but Percival's definitely capable of a lot. Unicorn Cream. Another sad face character, another character who you can use at levels that are significantly too low to make any sense. She's not as good at Punk Zazz and DJ Vector. In fact, I kind of appreciate when I see a Unicorn Cream alongside these two because it stops these two from sandbagging, but if there's a Unicorn Cream boosting in front of you, those rainbows deal way too much damage. So, I mean, good luck catching up to them with your boost. Your boost is going to be stopped, and you're going to have to take a decent amount of damage to catch up to it. And then, on top of that, her other rainbow, the projectile, it goes through walls, it deals with annoying damage, it takes away rings. It's like they made Captive Light again, except it's a projectile. I don't think she's as broken as Punk Zazz and DJ Vector, but the fact that you can climb with her to number 1 at, like, you can climb high with her at, like, level 9 is unacceptable. I just hate to say it. And finally, we have Supersonic. Supersonic, I will put in, well, definitely S tier, but the question is where in S tier. Okay, the thing about Supersonic is that, let's pretend for a second that you have 100 rings with, no, not 100. You have 30 starting rings with this guy. That means you are able to front run with him. Now, based off that, I am going to assume that you are using a high-leveled Supersonic, and if you are doing that, then I think he is excellent. A Supersonic in that case can be a little bit behind everybody, and then be able to catch up and then boost. You can also spam these fireballs, do a bunch of other stuff, but the thing about Supersonic is that if you base off the average player, then he's terrible, because a lot of Supersonics are just awful players who just spam fireball in the back, but you know, if he's a little bit behind you, and you are able to keep up and not get body block, then he is going to give you consistent results. But keep in mind, this is a specific way to do it. Supersonic ranking him anywhere feels uneasy, but I do feel he's an S tier character because he definitely is helping out a lot of people tremendously. Just be careful if you end up on certain tracks. So consistency-wise, he might not be as good as Lancelot or River Metal Sonic, but I do think he's S tier. And with that, we have our full tier list. There were not as many D-tier characters as I expected, although in my defense, they buffed 3 of them. Eggman, Tails, and Elite Agent Rouge I used to have in D-tier, but they're saved. So, yeah. I really hope that they nerf these sad face characters. They make me very sad. For DJ Vector and Punk Zazz, there's a very long list of things I need to go through, but for Unicorn Cream, I think you just need to do 2 things. Remove the damage from the boosts. I think that even if you just hit by it, you still stop their boost if they hit a rainbow. The damage is unnecessary. And make it so the projectile doesn't go through obstacles. I think if you do that, she'll be reasonable. Still probably fine, but a lot more reasonable. DJ Vector and Punk Zazz just need to be eradicated from the game completely. I can't even use them, so I'm a lot more bitter. And for these other characters at the bottom, the common trend here is that they just have useless traps. Booby Trap is bad, Illusion Boost is, Mine is bad, Zap Trap at least does damage, but it's definitely not good. I do think that they need to buff Wind Boost to help out Storm as well as a lot of these other characters. Booby Trap needs to have some sort of slowdown, and Illusion Boost needs Divine Intervention if I'm being real. The D-tier characters could definitely use some help too. Captive Light needs a rework. Firework Flurry needs a rework. Long Claw, in general, just needs a rework, although I don't know how to make her without making her OP. The other characters, there could be some adjustments too, but I mean, they're tolerable enough. So with that, I think that about finishes off the tier list. hopefully that ended up being pretty good. If I sounded nervous or talked too fast, I apologize. I was a little bit nervous, but overall, I hope that this was a good experience. Next time you see me streaming, which hopefully will be next weekend or maybe 2 weekends from now, you will be seeing some speed battle gameplay. And in the meantime, I will try to take this time to prepare for that. Of course, I don't play on a desktop, so I'll have to configure the stream window for being able to go mobile. But with that, hopefully we will be able to have a speed battle stream soon enough. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Farewell.